12 years of schooling teaches you how to solve equations, but not how to escape poverty. Here are 14 simple financial truths the education system hid from you. 1. Taxes, the unavoidable cost of civilization. Picture this. Imagine you just had a grueling month at work, slaving away, flipping burgers at your local McDonald's. You're lying in bed when you get the email from them. It says you earned $2,000, but your bank account only received $1,456. You scroll down the pay stub. Federal income tax, state tax, Social Security, Medicare. This is the modern ritual of handing over a portion of your money to unseen forces, and they expect you to say thank you for it. Here's the deal. Taxes are the price of civilization. You pay, the government builds roads, funds schools, makes sure your favorite taco truck isn't overrun by rodents, and sends billion-dollar rockets to places you've never been. But there are different kinds of taxes. Income tax hits the money you earn. Sales tax hits the money you spend. Capital gains tax hits the money investments earn while you sleep. The government takes a little chunk out of every dollar you make. Nearly everyone also has to pay Social Security and Medicare tax. Basically, Social Security tax is the government forcing you to save for retirement. They force you to save money now, and you'll be paid back over time when you retire. Medicare, however, is a healthcare insurance tax that supports the elderly or those with serious health issues. Now, filing taxes? Oh boy. The government knows how much you owe, but makes you guess. Awesome. If you're right, no worries. But if you're wrong, you're toast. When it comes to actually paying taxes, some people pay quarterly, some pay annually, and some pay nothing and end up in documentaries. I get that taxes are annoying, but they aren't entirely bad. Countries with higher tax rates often have higher qualities of life across the board. 2. Banks, financial intermediaries, or money vaults. You walk into a bank, hand cash to the teller, they count it, smile, and say it'll be added to your account. You walk out thinking, great, now it's sitting in some vault somewhere, guarded by a dragon. But in reality, that money is gone. Most people think of a bank like a giant safe with one job, holding everyone's money. But in reality, they are just intermediaries or matchmakers for financial transactions. When you deposit that $1,000, the bank takes $900 and gives it to someone who wants to buy a jet ski. That system is called fractional reserve banking, which basically relies on the idea that they only need to keep a fraction of the cash on hand. Because not everyone shows up at the same time demanding to withdraw 100% of their accounts. Unless it's 2008, when everyone lined up to pull their whole account, crashing the system. Banks make money by lending your money out at higher interest rates than they pay you. That's really all there is to it. You are the supply of money, and borrowers are the demand. Banks entice you to deposit your money for a few reasons. It's much easier and more convenient to spend using cards or transfers than carrying cash. They are literally paying you to keep the money with them in the form of interest. It's much safer keeping money in a bank than in a shoebox in your closet. In the U.S., most banks are insured up to $250,000 per person, meaning no matter what, the government guarantees you that your money, up to $250K, is safe. 3. Interest rates, the silent engine of wealth and debt. Imagine you borrow $1,000. You have to pay back $1,280. Why? Because of interest. Interest is the way money charges rent for existing in someone else's hands. When you borrow, interest is the price tag for using someone else's cash. When you lend or save, interest is the reward for patience and boredom. There are 2 main types. Simple interest is like, here is a fixed fee, thanks for playing. Compound interest is, every dollar I gave you now has copies, and they want rent too. Say you owe 20% interest on a credit card. You miss a payment. Now your interest is earning interest. Pretty soon, that $12 burrito turns into a $50 regret. On the flip side, what about investing at 7% compounded annually? That's your money cloning itself like a cheat code. $100 turns into $200, then $400. Then one day you wake up and you're old, rich, and slightly smug about it. This is why interest is the silent engine behind both wealth and debt. In loans, it's the slow burn that turns small mistakes into financial fires. In investing, it's the time bomb that turns small gains into massive wins. So what's the trick? If you are paying interest, crush it fast. If you are earning interest, let it sit, feed it, and give it time. Interest can be your worst enemy or your best unpaid employee. The choice lies in who is collecting it. 4. Inflation, the invisible thief that makes your money vanish. All right, you bought a bag of chips. Open it up, and it looks half-eaten. You check what you paid. 30% higher than last time. Then you realize you've just been hit by inflation. Inflation is what happens when money slowly becomes less valuable over time. Not overnight, not with fireworks, just a slow erosion. Your $5 bill? Still technically $5, but it buys less ramen, less gas, and really not as much value as it used to. So what actually causes it? Sometimes people just have too much money. Everyone has cash. And they all want to spend it on the same thing. Say 2,000 people want this $500 TV. But the business only has 1,000 TVs to sell. So the business says, oh, everyone wants this TV? Now the price is going to be $800. Sometimes it's because the supply chain breaks down or has issues, making the cost of producing goods or services more expensive, meaning prices have to rise. Or sometimes, just because. Expectations can cause inflation. If people think prices are going up, they spend more now, pushing prices up faster. It's a self-fulfilling economic prophecy. A little inflation is normal, even good. 2% a year? That's fine, predictable. But if it spikes, savings die, and paychecks fall behind. The government tries to fight inflation when this happens, by raising interest rates. When the government raises interest rates, people have to pay more interest. Or it costs more to take out a loan, meaning they have less money to spend on things like TVs. This causes a drop in spending, which pretty much cools the economy. 5. Recession, the mandatory downbeat of the economic song. A recession is when the economy shrinks for at least 2 quarters, or 6 months in simple terms. One day you're fine, you have a job, bills are paid, you might even be planning a family trip. But suddenly there are layoffs, and the stock market is just dipping. During a recession, jobs vanish, companies cut costs, and people save money for essentials instead of buying things they don't need. Why do recessions happen? It can be a variety of causes. It could be high interest rates, making borrowing too expensive. It could be a global crisis. War, a pandemic, a stuck container ship. It could just be the economic cycle doing what it does best. Boom, peak, recession, reset. Think of the economy like a party. During the boom phase, everyone is dancing, the drinks are flowing. But eventually, the lights flicker on. Reality hits. Someone checks their bank account. And suddenly, the DJ plays sad, lo-fi beats about corporate downsizing. Recessions aren't forever. They are resets, painful ones. Governments can lower interest rates, send out stimulus packages, or just hope people start buying expensive coffee again. Eventually, spending returns, businesses rebuild, growth continues, but not without scars. 6. Credit score, a measure of trust, not wealth. The credit score is a shadowy algorithm that knows your name, your past, and how many times you paid your college credit card late. A 3-digit number that dictates whether you get to buy a house, a car, or suffer soul-crushing 27% interest rates on that new TV. This number isn't about wealth, it's about trust. Lenders want to know, if I give money to this person, will they actually give it back to me? Scores range from 300 to 850. Below 580, you are a walking red flag. Above 750, you are sparkling with grown-up credibility. Most people? Stuck somewhere between 640 and 790. How is the credit score calculated? Payment history. Did you pay on time? This is the biggest one. Credit utilization. How much credit you are using compared to what you could. Credit age. How long you've had accounts. Credit mix. Cards, loans, mortgages. Variety helps. New credit. Too many recent applications? All of this is how it is calculated. But to really boost your score, you must make the required payments for every loan before entering the delinquency stage. If you enter delinquency, your score drops. Your credit score is like a house pet. Ignore it, and it will poop all over your life. Care for it, and it might one day help you buy a house. It's not about being good with money. It's about looking good to the lender. You can have $0 debt and still have a trash score if you have no credit history. So yes, the game is rigged. But if you learn the rules, you can rig it back. 7. Currency. Social consensus on printed paper. Or money. The weird part about currency and or money is that it isn't really real. Humans developed money to make the world better. Money makes transactions easier, helping facilitate the building of social systems and organizations. That said, there is no more legitimacy between a dollar bill and a Bitcoin. People believe a dollar bill has more legitimacy. And perhaps it does, for now. But only because people believe that it does. The same could be said about a dollar bill and a stick. The only reason a dollar bill can buy something and a stick cannot is the fact that we as a society have agreed that a dollar bill has value while a stick does not. So how does money actually work? Well, the government prints it, central banks regulate it, and normal people trade it in exchange for goods and or services. The reason banks have to regulate it is because if the government prints too much, then inflation happens, and everyone's money becomes monopoly money. If banks make there be too little money, no one can afford to live. Currency, or money, is a social construct built upon shared faith and trust. 8. Investing. Putting money to work instead of letting it sit. So, now that you know what inflation is, the best way to combat inflation, so your money doesn't become less valuable, is to invest. Investing is what happens when your money stops sitting still and starts working for you. Instead of trading time for money, you are trading money for more money. The catch is there is risk involved. What can you actually buy? Stocks, tiny slices of ownership of companies. If the company grows, your slice becomes more valuable. Bonds. You essentially lend money to the government or a company, and they pay you back along with interest. Funds. Collections of stocks and bonds so you don't have to play the financial games one by one. Real estate. Property that you hope others will pay to live in forever. Of course, there are other things, but those are considered the majors. Investing isn't about luck. It's about getting in early, diversifying, and patience. Most wealthy people don't win the lottery. They just gave compounding interest 30 years to do its job. And yes, investing comes with risk. Markets go up, markets go down. But the real danger isn't losing money. It's never investing and watching inflation silently steal your future. 9. Value. The core key to generating real wealth. This is more complex, but everyone should understand it. Imagine you pick up a rock. It's just a rock. Now imagine that rock is shiny and gold. That's gold. It's rarer than an average rock, so a higher value is placed on it. Gold is not actually worth more than the average rock. It's just worth more to humans because we place a higher value on it. Understanding this is what allows people to get rich. If you provide a lot of value, you will earn a lot of money. Steve Jobs created the iPhone you are most likely watching this on right now. He created something with massive amounts of value, so millions of people handed him thousands of dollars for that bit of value. This is also why doctors and lawyers make a ton of money. The value they provide is huge, and people are willing to pay huge amounts of money for their services. Value is also why Gucci or Louis Vuitton can sell the same handbag as Target, but charge 100 times the price. People perceive it to be worth more, so it is. If you can figure out how to create value, even if it's not real value, you can make a lot of money. 10. Time, the most valuable asset everyone owns. Time is the most precious asset in the world. And the best part? Almost everyone starts with plenty of it. You likely have plenty of time left. But no one gets an infinite supply. Most people work jobs where time is directly traded for money. An hour, a paycheck. Simple math. The highest earners figured out how to make their time worth millions of dollars. And the difference isn't magic. It's skill, leverage, and how well you trained your hours to work for you. But nowhere does time work harder than in investing. There is no greater force in building wealth. Not luck, not income. Time. Because wealth isn't built in days. It's built over decades. Money sitting quietly in an investment doesn't just grow, it multiplies. Slowly at first, then faster. This is why normal people with modest paychecks can retire with 7 figures. They didn't beat the system, they used the system. A little money, invested consistently, given enough time, becomes a lot of money. 11. Leverage, the art of doing more with less. You hear this word online all the time. But what does it actually mean? Archimedes once said, "Give me a fulcrum and I shall lift the earth." In finance, leverage is how you lift your assets without using all your own strength. It's the use of other people's resources. Financial leverage is using the bank's money to buy a house. You put down 20%, the bank puts down 80%, but you keep 100% of the profits when the price goes up. Time leverage is hiring employees to work for you. Technology leverage is writing a piece of software code that works while you are sleeping. Without leverage, you are confined to a meager 24 hours a day. Rich people aren't working 100 times harder than you. They are just using leverage 100 times more effectively. But be careful, leverage is a double-edged sword. It magnifies gains, but it also magnifies losses. 12. Supply and demand, the unwritten law of the economic universe. Some of you pointed out in the comments. Inflation isn't just money printing, it's supply and demand. This is the most basic concept that school glossed over too fast. Why is water so cheap, even though you need it to live? Because water is everywhere. Supply is huge, so the price is low. Why are diamonds expensive? Because they are scarce, or at least the mining companies want you to think so. When millions of people want to buy a new iPhone, but Apple only produced a few thousand, demand outweighs supply, and the price will skyrocket. Conversely, if you create something that no one desires, its value is zero. Understanding this rhythm helps you know when to buy into assets, and more importantly, when to sell out. 13. Government efficiency, the hole in the tax money bucket. I said high-tax countries have a higher quality of life, but people from Brazil or India countered this. And you are absolutely right. Taxes are the fuel, but the government is the engine. If you pour gas into a leaky engine, the car won't go anywhere. You pay 40% tax. But if corrupt officials pocket half of that, then you get roads full of potholes and terrible healthcare services. This is the hidden variable. It's not just how much money you pay, it's how efficiently the administrative apparatus uses it. Corruption is essentially a hidden tax on development. It turns the sacrifice of the populace into the private assets of a select few. 14. Digital business. The barrier to entry has never been lower. People ask about drop shipping, day trading, or AI. The world is changing rapidly. Back in the day, to open a business, you needed capital, premises, and warehousing. Today, you just need a laptop and a Wi-Fi connection. Drop shipping allows you to sell without ever touching the product. Content creation allows you to monetize your knowledge. But don't let the get-rich-quick promises fool you. A low barrier means competition is extremely high. Thousands of people are trying to do the exact same thing as you. Technology changes the tools, but it doesn't change the fundamentals. You still have to provide real value to the customer. Otherwise, you're just more noise on the internet. Start with discipline. If you like this video, you will definitely like the next one. Therefore, make sure to hit that subscribe button and turn on notifications so we can bring you more exciting content in the next video.